Hello everybody and welcome to your 33rd AllegroHD tutorial. And in this tutorial we're going to be learning an even more advanced form of loading maps, and it makes it a little bit more flexible. Now before in our programs we had to actually specify how wide and how long our map is going to be. This can be effective if you have really small maps or something like that. But say you really don't know the size of your map, or say you have a really large, map, or say you have a designer. Because when you get into game development, if you work with teams and stuff, you'll have one person actually designing the maps, and you could be a programmer, the gameplay programmer, the graphics programmer, etc., etc. So sometimes you might not know how big the map is, or sometimes the designer might have to change something in the map, and the designer might forget to change the dimensions of the map, and therefore there will be some problems in your code. The code I'm about to show you is gonna be, you'll be able to figure out the actual width and the height of the map without having to display it at the top, which in turn makes your code a bit more flexible. So let us go right into the code and let's look at it. So there's not much that you have to add. Episode 2. So there's not much that you have to add. What you have to do is include the algorithm class. And what that is gonna allow us to do is just use the remove the remove function that will actually let us remove spaces or remove things within a string. So why do we need this? Well, essentially this is how we're going to figure out how wide and how long our map is. What we're going to do is we're going to get the first line of the text file, and then we're going to store it into a variable called line. So line is going to be equal to this. Then we're going to be using the remove function from the algorithm class to remove all the spaces. So let me just remove all the spaces. Sorry. Let's see. Okay, never mind. But let's remove all the spaces in our program. Okay, and then we're going to get this. So as you can see, we have 10 zeros, and therefore the length of the line variable is going to be equal to 10. Okay, so then when we find out the length of the length of the line, that's going to give us our map size x. So we'll figure out our map size x is equal to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And line.length is going to return the valuable 10, the value 10. So let's go back to our code. So essentially this is going to be the hardest part of the tutorial right here, is memorizing this function. And I oftentimes don't memorize it because I have even a more advanced way in order to load in maps. So I rarely use this method, but this is for people who don't want to get into vectors and all that stuff. So basically what this is saying is that we're creating a temporary variable called templine right here. So make sure this is not in the while loop, it's in the if statement right here. So if the file is open, then we create a string called templine, and then we use the getLine function to actually store the first line of our text file. So but the thing about this is that we have to make sure that the map starts right here. If our map starts right here and there's nothing up here, then that's going to return an error. Now you can always do error checking to say that if templine is equal to a null string, then you continue to check until it actually has a value. But we're not going to get complicated because it's simple enough just to put your map at the top of the text file. So let us go back to the code. So we use getLine, and we're getting the line from our file, so we put open file to put a comma there, and then we're storing it in the variable templine. That's basically what it's saying right there. So this is the long function right here. So we're saying templine.erase, and then we're going to use the remove function from our algorithm class So temp-line remove, from the beginning of the beginning of the line to the end of the line, we want to remove the spaces, and then for the erase we just put comma temp-line dot end. So we're erasing all of the things within the line till the end of the line, or to the end of the whatever variable that you specified over here. So once you do that, it will remove all the spaces within that variable, and then we'll say that map size x is equal to temp-line dot length. So therefore, it's going to return 10 if we have the same map as we had before. If we increase the size of the map, then it's going to say temp-line is going to be equal to whatever. A flaw about this is that say you accidentally add another value here, it's going to believe that map size x is equal to 11, when indeed it should be only equal to 10. So that's a flaw and a drawback, but and it could cause errors, simple little errors in your program, but in later tutorials you will figure out how to avoid this with more flexible methods of doing it. So we basically remove the spaces. Map size x is equal to temp-line dot length, so it's going to be equal to 10. And then what we have to do is that we have to reset it back to the beginning of the file again, because if we don't do that, then in our while loop it's going to start reading from this line again, from line number 2 and all the way down there, and it's not going to read the top file. So we have to reset it back to the beginning so that it reads this file and then all of these, etc., etc. So how do we do this? We do this by simply putting the file name, or the whatever we just specified as our if stream name. We do openfile.seekg, and then we put 0, and then we put iOS : beg for beginning. Now I have std : there because I haven't included the std namespace. So if you have included the std namespace, then all I have to put is iOS : beg. If you haven't, then you have to put std : iOS : beg. Simple enough. And our while loop is essentially the same. Now what you should notice is that before I showed you an alternate method of actually drawing. This way you only have one way of loading in and drawing the map to the screen. So what you want to do is make sure that it says load counter x ++, not load counter y. We want to check if load counter is greater or equal to map size x, and if it is, we reset load counter x to 0, increment load counter y +1, and the last one is increment map size y +1, and that's going to actually give us the map size y that we need to actually draw the map. Now if you don't want it to increment every time in case you want to optimize your code, then you can essentially just say at the end of our while loop that map size y is equal to load counter y, because that's essentially what it is equal to with this method that we're doing. And for our draw map, just make sure that you set it that we're drawing it if map ij rather than ji. Make sure you change that, and everything within the rest of the program is fine. So if we run this program, let's see what we should get. So we should get the same map as we had last tutorial if no problems occur. Just wait for it to compile. It gets really slow whenever I'm making videos. So anyways, oh yeah, I changed this to a 0 in the text file, but it's essentially the same as we had last tutorial. So I can change anything within it. I can even change the size of it. So if I want to make it 20 by 10, so I could essentially do that. Sorry. I can make it any size I want to, and it will work effectively. So I'm just gonna add this little bit right here, and if we save that and then we go back to our project and we run the project, everything should be modified and drawn accordingly, as you see right here. So that is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this, and you've just learned a brand new way to load a maps. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and bye.